This entire Mekong village runs on rats. They process hundreds of thousands of them every single day.
Hey guys, welcome to Clearwater Beach.
I was out of town to find myself a way to get myself out of this world. You were not about, and I blame myself. I should have blamed myself, but that's what I heard.
Hey everybody, RJ Smith here at This Thing of Ours, Crazy News Reacts, where, as most of you already know, I scour news sources to come up with the most insane, ridiculous, and crazy news stories around the globe. Today, you're not going to believe what I have for you, but before I get started, please hit the like button, the thumbs up. Right now, I'll wait. See, that was easy, right? Just hit the like button. It helps me a lot, okay? And it doesn't cost you anything. And if you really want to help, hit the subscribe. You're going to like what I have to say. So, without further ado, let's talk about today's show, which has to do with people around the world who freaking eat rats. I'm not kidding you. Now, rat meat is various species of rats, usually medium-sized, long-tail, rodent. It is a food that is taboo in many cultures around the world, right? But in some places, it's actually a dietary staple. Of course, here in America, we're afraid of diseases, and of course, there's the religious prohibition. But around the world, in many places, folks, the high number of rats has led to them becoming food. Without further ado, let's check out this insanely crazy story.
There's a good 100, 200 families here that make a living purely off rat meat.
You see, there's something special, something unique about rats in this area, and the processing that goes down in this village that supposedly has them tasting amazing.
How often are you going to eat a rat in your life?
But how can a creature renowned for spreading disease and parasites even be safe to eat, let alone have a reputation like this?
But what the hell? Why are rats from this area so special, in such high demand, that they literally both import them and export them?
In Malawi, in East Africa, people there hunted rats for millennia. They simply strung the mice up on sticks, salted, dried, and cooked them as a popular food. Now, before you laugh, even here in the United States, rat stew was a staple in West Virginia. Look it up, telling you the truth. Now, of course, that dish came from rough economic times and mostly from the collapse of the mining industry. And they called it roadside cuisine. In Asia today, in 2024, it's eaten throughout Asia. And that's what this whole thing today is about. Unbelievable news story I came across. I had to share with you guys. Let's continue.
Many of these areas are remote. It can take hours to trek to the inner fields that have no roads connecting to them, and it is hugely labor intensive. But this method is effective, and it provides food for the villagers, prevents crops from damage, and it is more humane and environmentally conscious than the alternative, which is poisoning.
Honestly, we've been trekking through just sort of swampy land for a good 30, 40 minutes now just to get to these guys. I think Alan really wanted to get a mouse for us, a rat for us today, and just went balls to the wall. This has definitely settled it for me. That thing is no mouse. These things are freaking huge. These are definitely rice field rats.
Cái này cũng có kinh tế nữa. Mùa chuột thường mùa chuột có là vào mùa xuân. Mùa xuân là chuột mùa lúa chín, mùa gần Tết á là chuột nó rất thơm rất béo. Cái mùa đó tụi anh đi đánh một đêm á, tụi anh kiếm có thẻ 2 triệu 3 triệu. Xong rồi ta bán quán, có quán bán thịt chuột nữa. Nhưng họ làm rất nhiều món.
Okay guys, watching this, come on. You cannot tell me that that does not look pretty good. Don't get me wrong, there's still that mental hurdle there. How often are you going to eat a rat in your life?
And if you think that is something, back in Victorian Britain, the rich and the poor ate something called rat pie. During World War II, when food rationing was at its heights, there was a recipe for grilled rats, skinned and eviscerated, brushed with what was thick olive oil, I believe, served with crushed shallots, and grilled over a fire. There was no taboo. It was food. The Hawaiians, the Polynesians, considered rat meat an everyday food. It was normal. And while most of the world considers rat meat disgusting, deplorable, and diseased, there are very strong religious edicts against it, both in Islam, no surprise there, and kashrut. They ate it in South America and many other places. This was a staple. It was something they didn't even think about. And just like this story, they ate millions of them.
But there are far more rats than the farmers could ever eat. You see, the Mekong Delta is in many regards Vietnam's breadbasket. This one area produces more than half of Vietnam's rice. And Vietnam is the third largest rice exporter in the entire world. Basically, there's a lot of rice here.
Hello, xin chào. Xin chào.
And among all that rice is a lot of rats. And that's where the village of Phu Yat comes in. This tiny village, tucked away on one of the smaller tributaries of the Mekong, is all about rats.
We have just arrived at the rat village and there seems to be rats everywhere. Every kind of rat stopped it. I would call a mouse. Here in Vietnamese, everything is just toot. It's pretty hard to distinguish between a rat and a mouse. There is just one word. Well, I don't know. There's some mice, there's some rats, there's some big ones, there's some small ones. This place is kind of wild.
Every family here has a relationship with trappers. They catch the rats from the vast expanses of rice fields. Each day, the trappers bring in the fresh catch by truck or by motorcycle.
Entire truck coming here, delivering tray after tray after tray of rats. Pretty crazy sight.
Stacked steel cages loaded to the brim with rats. They've even been roughly sorted by size and color.
Oh gosh, sorry guys. Whether you salt them or dry them, field mice are strung up and sold around the world. It is a popular delicacy somehow. They're hunted in cornfields, rice paddies, due to the fact they grow fat eating those particular foods. Hell, there was even a story recently, I forget where it was, but rats had gotten into a police evidence locker and had eaten marijuana and cocaine and they were all high. I'm sure you could find it on the internet if you look it up. I don't know what jurisdiction is at it, but it's insane. Me personally, whenever I get food from a Chinese restaurant, I like sweet and sour pork. But when I order it, I can never really place the food. Now, I know it's supposed to be pork, but to be honest, TBH, I can't tell. But I always imagine it's either cat meat, dog meat, or rats, all of which are eaten in Asia, believe it or not. Let's continue.
We're just walking around. It's not like the giantest village, you know what I mean? Rats can only sustain an economy of so large, but there's a good 100, 200 families here that make a living purely off rat meat.
And when the deliveries arrive, each family quickly springs into action. First, the rats are quickly dispatched with a rock. The tail and feet are then removed and the rat is skinned. The ears are removed and kept separate. These are sold as fish food.
Why would you pick up sea monkeys when you could feed your fish rabbits? Perfectly logical, really.
From here, the animals are then gutted. Notably though, if it is a male, the penis is removed.
They sell 1 kilo of rat penises for 50,000. It's like $2.50 for a whole kilo of rat penis. If that's not a deal, I don't know what is.
Finally, it is washed and carefully packaged on ice for shipment to customers all over southern Vietnam.
And so that's it. That's this giant conveyor belt of rat processing that we have here. There must be 200 kilos worth of rats. And this entire family has just gathered around into this giant factory-like process, this conveyor belt processing of rats.
Now, although you and I might think eating rat penis is a little bit insane, okay? Crazy, definitely. Restaurants in China serves a delicacy called, quote, hot pot, right? And it, of course, consists of penis meat, not just from rats, but cows, sheep, dogs, donkeys, and deer. It's a very common thing. And believe it or not, the Chinese actually have eaten rat meat. They believed that the meat would detoxify the body and make their appearance somehow prettier. In fact, one of the leading scientists during the COVID crisis had linked rat meat to the actual pandemic. You don't hear much about that. More than 25 million rats a year were harvested by China for food. Let's go.
And while it may look shocking, these guys are proud of their work and of the final product. I think it's why rat from this village is so sought after. The labor here is done with a level of care and professionalism that ensures a genuinely high quality of meat. It's 100% organic, wild-caught, grain-fed rat that's fat from the endless supply of rice.
You know, a shrimp salesman once told me that he could charge more for processed Vietnamese shrimp because of the level of detail the Vietnamese factory workers had, that they were good with their fingers and that they were able to keep meticulous condition of the shrimp. And you can see it here. This entire family is so quick and so swift, and every cut is so precise.
Here, it's looked on much the same way as other small game, such as rabbit or squirrel.
Now check this out, folks. You're not going to believe it, but this is true. Hamburger meat sold in Northern California restaurants has been found to include human and rat DNA. Now, Clear Labs out of Menlo Park, California, looked at more than 250 hamburger products, including ground meat, frozen patties, fast food burgers, and even, get this, veggie burgers. It was found to have meat from beef, chicken, turkey, pork, and yep, our topic subject. It found contamination in 13.8% of the products sampled for testing. And not just DNA from humans and rats, but insects. Now, you might not believe this. Wendy's, one of my favorite fast food restaurants, right here in the United States, the Food and Drug Administration has reported that during inspection of the fast food giant, traces of horse and rats were found in the rich and meaty chili. And they admitted that those two animals were in there. Wendy said, quote, they only use about 30% ground beef. The rest is made of meat filler. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Next time you go to Wendy's, imagine those little fuckers running around in your stomach. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Hey guys, like, subscribe, and if you feel it in your heart, share this with your friends, family, and on your social networks. If you like and subscribe, that gives more people the opportunity to see the video. I'll see you right back here tomorrow.